G'day, legends. Welcome to the Pot Noodle on Celtic Down Under. I'm your host, Jared, and joined by Ian and Shane. How you going, Ian?
I'm good, mate. How you doing?
Living the dream. How you going, Shane?
Oh, doing well, mate. Doing really, really well. But it's been an amazing last overnight here with the result and watching the game live. I did have to work today. It was public holiday here in Victoria, but I had to work, and so I'm batting off about 2 hours sleep, to be honest with you. So just forewarning to everybody who tunes in, if I start to waffle really badly, even worse than usual, apologies.
If that happens, you'll get sound effect like this.
What the hell was that?
All right, I'm prepared.
We'll throw that at you. So, yeah, just thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate it as always. Please hit, if you haven't done so, hit like on the video on YouTube. It helps us with the algorithm. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so as well. It helps us grow the podcast, both whether it's you're listening on the audio version or you're listening on the YouTube. So, yeah, well, I don't know what's happened this week, Shane. There's been a bit going on, hasn't there? Anything of any importance happened to you recently?
Phoenix won their basketball tie and they're through the semi-final. Surely that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that could be it. I don't know, Ian. Anything important going on?
It was my 17th wedding anniversary on Saturday, but I thought it was today.
Congratulations.
Yes, congrats.
And yeah. Oh, that's right. We the thing that happened is we knocked the Huns out of the cup.
Oh, yeah. I read about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I may have watched it on the TV for the second time, finishing about 45 minutes ago. So it's enjoyable. So what I'd like to do is take a moment here and appreciate Aberdeen Red on Twitter for sharing this picture because I had to steal it. But I would like a donation for the Huns right now. They can put all their tears right in there so that, our Celtic fans can inject that right into us. So, yeah, it was, I'll give credit where it's due. The fact that comes from an Aberdeen fan's even funnier to me. But, yeah, I just thought it was a bit of an interesting game. Going into the derby, cup game, get into the semi. So the last one before it gets to Hampton. And, yeah, was absolutely not confident going into the game. So what I want to do, something a bit different, is last time we played them. So last week, I want to bring up the lineup here. I wish I could put two side by side, but there was 5 changes, I think, if my memory is right, for this week's lineup. So if you have a look there, Arthur started instead of Murray, and then McGregor didn't play, Tierney didn't play, Oxlade Chamberlain was on the bench. Adamu was I don't even think he was in the squad. So there's a few changes there. But if we get to our starting lineup, like me looking at this, Captain Scales, I think the talk was when this came out, our group chat was going all sorts. Like people couldn't figure out if it was a back three, a back with wing backs, was Scales playing left back, what the go was. So for me, I looked at this, and the one thing that I said in our group chat was, as soon as I saw Mavuka on the bench, I was like, "Oh, we're cooked." But other than that, Shane, I'll jump on your thoughts when you saw the lineup. What were your thoughts when you saw that lineup, and what were your thoughts heading into the game?
Yeah, a little bit uncertain when that lineup came out. Obviously, we knew Tierney was probably going to miss, so I'd kind of just expected Martin to persist with Srirachi in place of Tierney. So I was a little bit surprised Scales came in. I did probably expect it to be a back four, just with Scales playing at left back. I didn't really necessarily kind of appreciate the idea of Scales playing there. But I think as the match wore on, and we'll touch on later, it made a lot of sense in the end with the way that we played and sort of how they played against us. But also Calmac being a big out as well, right? So for me, both Tierney and Calmac being out are huge because that's massive. That's a massive amount of leadership out of the squad gone completely. One that's already sort of lacking a little bit of that, shall we say. So, yeah, look, a little bit nervous, and obviously a midfield without Calmac. I know that we like to sort of look at how we play without him sometimes, or maybe, push him forward from that sort of, if you want to call it, quarterback role, for a lack of a better term. But whenever he doesn't play, I always get a little bit nervous of just how that midfield is going to tick. So, unfortunately, I think that kind of came to pass in the end.
The funny thing is, Shane, like for me, I wasn't nervous about Calmac being out. It was more the Scales and, Scales at left back instead of Srirachi. That was the thing that made me more nervous with Tierney being out, but, like, our midfield has been rubbish most of the season anyway, but I just wanted to see, like, a bit of steel, a bit of resolve there, and I don't know how you thought, Ian, heading into the game, seeing that lineup, but, yeah, how do you think our midfield performed?
Not particularly great, but the thing a really key aspect, and it happened in the last game as well, is when the plaudits that were going the referees' way, saying, "Oh, they beaten," for example, in this game, they let the game flow. It's like the amount of times it should have been a foul, but it wasn't. So it was like, our midfielders ended up sort of sitting on their arse at times, and it's like, oh, it looks like they're just being dispossessed because they're little school children playing against men. It's like, no, it's actually a foul. But that's the disruption that happens. So it seemed like we get the midfield getting overran a lot. But I thought there was many a time where it should have been blown for a foul. But the lineup was a bit worrying. Was Srirachi on the bench? Did he come on?
Yeah, I think so.
He didn't come on though.
Right. No, I only saw the highlights, so I missed the whole game, so I only saw the highlights. But that it's like, I think Trusty had a storming game. He looked like he's European best. Arthur looked decent as well. Donovan looked decent as well. What I saw of him, but Scales isn't a left back, and it was kind of like, well, if Srirachi was on the bench, why didn't we play with Srirachi? I think playing Scales there, he was a centre half. He's not a left back. He's got the heart of a lion. And I love the guy, but I just think it's sort of round pegs and square holes there. I think maybe Srirachi might have given us a bit more of an outball and helped us sort of get up the pitch. Was another gripe that I was going to mention. I don't know if we're going to talk about this later in the pod, but how this club can let this first team get in this state where a 15-year-old Phoenix club can have 24 shots to our one. And, I know we won the game, but part of me thinks, like it's I said it in the group chat earlier on, if we win the league and we win the cup, it's almost like these guys will get bonuses. They will get bonuses, and they should be getting the sack. So it's, there was lots of changes. We got through, and I think they've got no bottle. Rangers have got no nerve and no bottle. They've got a better team on paper, but they've got no bottle, and we got through. But let's not paper over the cracks. We are an absolute joke of a team, and we had having to piece together a squad like that to get to go to Ibrox and get, the stats don't lie. It was very one-sided.
To use what I was going to name the pod then, Ian, I was actually going to name it, in inverted commas, the Lenny thing. Worst Celtic team ever knocks Rangers out of the cup. That's what I was going to name it, because that's what the talk was. And we're not a good team. We're pretty bad. It's probably one of the worst Celtic teams I think I've seen, in terms of depth of squad, right? And the way we're playing performances across the year that I've probably seen in the last decade.
With 100 million in the bank as well. 100 million in the bank, and that's what we served. What plausible reason and excuse can we have? There's absolutely none. It's comedic proportions of ineptitude. It's shocking.
Anyway, I agree. I think I agree with you there. So what we'll do is, at the end of the day, we got the result. But how I saw it was, this was a very Neil Lennon-esque sort of performance for us, where we set up our defence, and having Scales playing left back. And I know you touched on it there a bit, Shane, but once we got in the first half, and they got on top, they were probably on top of us for 70 minutes out of the game, out of the 90, right? Being, like, in terms of performance, another play, everything. I feel like they were probably the better team football-wise for 70 minutes. But having Scales at left back was kind of reminded me of the old days when Tierney was bombing up and down the left, and we had Lustig at right back, who would duck in and make it three centre backs, three tall, 6 foot plus defenders across the middle of the park. And then because we know that Rangers like to just whip a bunch of crosses in, so they weren't able to do that. So that was what I noticed during the first half. Like, having Araujo just bombing up and down, going all sorts of crazy on the right was great. because Scales was able to stay at home. But then if he went wandering, Araha has a discipline to be able to duck in and hold the position, hold the shape. So it was actually worked pretty well. So I wasn't too overly concerned about that. I just thought the biggest things for me defensively out of what I saw was Trusty played his best game of the season. Why did he play his best other than being fresh? It was probably the first time in about 20 games that he's actually played his natural left-sided centre back position. Let's be honest, most of the season he's been playing right centre back covering for CCV. You put him into his natural left centre back position, so now he doesn't have that extra hesitation or that little bit of awkwardness. He's able to just react and play the game. And then you have Arthur next to him on the right as natural right, and then you bring Murray on to do the same thing there. And it held up and secured the back line that allowed Scales that even if he got caught out of position, we still had the guys in the right positions behind him. So I actually feel like that had a lot to do with Trusty playing as well as he did. And then having that settled, young up and coming goalkeeper coming out, Superman punching, clearing all sorts, putting his head where it shouldn't be. Sinisalo is an absolute weapon in mine. We'll get into the player focus later on, but I just think defensively that set our platform. They weathered the storm. We could have kept going for another 90 minutes, and I don't think they would have scored.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, for the large parts of the game, they most certainly outplayed us. And in that first half in particular, very early on, we really couldn't get a foothold in the game at all. And it was our back four that were keeping us in it. And this is sort of what I was alluding to before. When the team list came out, I was sort of scratching my head a bit as to how this would unfold. But then as I saw the way we actually set up when we didn't have the ball, Martin had clearly set this team up to kind of absorb, right? They were going to come out at us. He was aware of what was going to happen. And so he set this team up with Scales on left to basically absorb as much as possible. And I thought he did a really good job at left back. He wasn't getting forward as much. He picks up a really early yellow as well. So he's on a booking from about the 20th minute onwards. The game goes for another 100 minutes. That's tough for him to manage that, right? He does really well to do that and contribute. But it was really our back four that were keeping us in it. Now, they weren't necessarily creating a gluttony of gilt-edged chances that they were missing or spurning or anything like that, but they were constantly getting the ball. Our midfield was really just almost non-existent, and every time we were getting the ball forward, every second ball they were getting to first, and we were really struggling. If it wasn't for that really kind of remarkably stoic performance from the back four, they probably do go in at halftime, and maybe at the end of the game they probably win in normal time. So yeah, I completely agree with you. I think the back four, the way they were set up, and that kind of stodginess was really important. But I think we did it deliberately as well. I think Martin had kind of preempted what was going to unfold. So yeah, I pretty much agree with what you said.
I think in the first half in particular, I think Hatate came into the game more as the second half wore on. So the rest of the midfield, Nigrin did his thing where he's there 1 minute, next minute you have no idea where he is and what he's doing. He's like, who's in that jersey there? I actually think our best midfielder in the first half was McCowan, and I'll give him full credit. I said early on about getting guys out there to have a dig. He wasn't the most technical. He did misplace a few passes, but he was trying to make some things happen when he did that. So I actually think McCowan was probably our best midfielder in the first half. And I don't normally give him a lot of love on this podcast, and it's not because I don't like him. It's because there's normally a lot of better players doing better than him. But credit where it's due. At the end of the day, I've got to give him that. He was wearing the jersey like any of us from in the crowd and whatever would have loved to have done it. A Celtic fan playing in a Glasgow derby at Ibrox, big Celtic crowd in the building, chance to knock your local rivals out of a cup, and launch the season, get the season launched. He got out there and had a fair income crack, and no wonder he ran out of legs as early as he did.
I don't know. I thought our midfield was pretty poor overall. I thought Hatate was the pick of the midfield. If anything, I probably disagree with the McCowan stuff. To be quite upfront, I thought he was probably the worst of the three. So it's funny how you and I sort of see it a little bit differently. I just thought that he couldn't get involved. I thought when he did, he was really slack with what he was doing, and we really struggled. So I almost saw him trying to play that Calmac role, and he just couldn't. He couldn't do it.
First half or second half or overall?
Oh no, first half. He was only on for about 15 minutes the second half before he got
Yeah.
hooked. So, but definitely first half.
Hey, we all see it differently. That's what this is for. So normally we'd talk about first half goals. Was there any?
Yep, there was. And if we didn't have the Timu version of VAR, I imagine that would have been would have been a goal. You know, it was like, how do you try and chalk this off, guys? Get your thinking cap on. It was a goal. It was a fucking goal.
I didn't even notice, Ian, when I was watching it, and even when I watched the replay back, I'm like, how? Like, I've seen the lines in the group chats now. I'm like, I don't get it. Watching it live, I'm like, I can't see it. It's like they found the one frame that it would
But
suit them.
it's not in line. So you can't. How can, if that's what they're looking at? How can they be sure?
The way I'm looking at it is the blue line for them looked curved from what I saw. The red line made sense from where it is because they have to measure it from the most further forward, closest to goal point that you could score with. So they're saying that Scales, with the being offside, was able to backheel, but he was offside because of the backheel. That's why. Now, looking at that, I don't like it because he was going away from the goal when that happened. But at the same time, letter of the law, okay, looks like it is, and then it, leveled out for us in the end. But if that was, you know, in a cup final, for instance, in extra time, you'd be absolutely raging. The problem thing for me is why I wasn't massively mad when it happened was we still had heaps of football ahead of us. But it was a shit call. Let's be honest. And the reason I'm saying this, and I'm not trying to recreate the rules, but if Arsene Wenger gets his new rule to come through their China and Canada next year, guess what that is? That's a goal. Because his new offside rule is every single part of the attacking player has to be past the defender. There has to be daylight. There can't like say if Shane's defending me and my shoelace is level with his foot, guess what? I'm onside even if I'm 2 meters in front of him because of that. So in the future, that what Arsene Wenger wants, that would be a goal. So I don't know. I just think it's odd. It's a bit of a weird one.
I agree with what Ian's saying. Like when you look back at that and you see the red line they've drawn for Scales, you can understand that one. But from the camera angle that's shown on the footage, and you look at the blue line, and it's like, well, what exactly? How can you absolutely be certain that's where everyone else was? You almost need like a camera angle that's literally in line with the actual defenders, right? Or like an overhead shot to be able to properly tell. I looked at that and thought, I can't tell that
We
from
need
those
the tennis
for
Hawkeye,
those
Shane.
lines. What was that?
What is the point? Sorry, Ewan.
We need the tennis Hawkeye where you've got side
Oh,
view,
yeah.
you've got overhead view, and it actually shows outlines, and you can just bring that up really quick. That's what you need for VAR.
Yep. Yeah, I thought there was easily a chance that I can't remember which Rangers defender it was. He was slightly back, that his foot could have easily been playing Scales on
The one
side,
at
but
the
you just
back,
can't
right?
see.
The one at the back
Yes.
side, right back.
Yeah, yeah,
Remember
yeah.
that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
Yeah. But what is actually the point of having the version we've got? If that's what it is, you might as well not have it. Yeah, you know, it's like it makes us look more and more amateur. It's a joke.
I can tell you the actual reason if you want to know. It's
Go on.
because the Scottish FA was told if they didn't have VAR in their league, their referees won't get any opportunities to referee, UEFA competitions, whether that's at international games, whether that's at your Champions League, Europa League, whatever, because that's used there. And if you don't have the experience, you can't get those gigs. So they have to do that to keep their accreditation and keep their standards. They have to have some sort of system. That's the only reason. Let's be honest. I'd rather have played chalk outlines. There you go. It's a joke. But anyway, we'll get some comments up before we go on the second half. I've got to start off with Pork Chop Express. Clever as this one. Spider Hun, Spider Hun. Ugly neighborhood Spider Hun. Drinks the water out of the bog, even though it may have logs. Look out, here comes a Spider Hun. Yes, love it. And you got my dulcet tones there too.
Shout out to Reece Walsh.
Brilliant. Yep. Vinny is saying Celtic again and again and again. The Huns are a laughing stock. Dominic is saying, watch the Scottish mainstream media contort themselves to blame us. We'll get into that a little bit later on. And by the looks of the sad Orange Bears, that was the plan to happen, win or lose. But they're expecting a win. G'day, legends. Legend, how are you, Bonnie? Robert Gibson, here he is. 2 lessons for the Huns this morning. Don't shag your sister and never think you're better than Celtic. Brilliant. Vinny's with a drive-by here, Shane. Starting lineup looked as dire as Shane's under eye bags.
I'm not sure what I do to deserve that.
You need to give him a cutting.
Maybe probably referring to the fact you said you're running on 2 hours today.
Vinny is one of my very best mates, and I don't like being stitched up by one of my very best mates in the comments. And he's done it again. I can see. God damn it!
Just cop it. Just cop it. There's nothing wrong with it. Heavy Vibes are saying Rare's best game since Ange left. Overall, yes, I would agree.
Showing some guy. The past couple of games, Rio, it's kind of like he's got his mojo back almost. It's like when he's giving it to the crowd after he scored the penalty as well. I liked it. It was a bit of gritting his teeth a little bit. Baring his teeth a little bit, which was sadly lacking for a long time.
Maybe it's because he's 3 months or so away from a World Cup squad having to be named, and he's realised, oh shit, I better pull my finger out here and actually do something.
Yeah.
He showed a lot of fight yesterday. I don't think he exerted the same influence he did the week before, but he showed a lot of fight in the midfield that was getting really overrun. And there was a lot of times he won the ball in a pretty tough situation. So, absolute credit to him. He showed a lot of sort of determination that we haven't seen for a while.
Yep. I'd love to see the thoughts of a referee, or maybe Sean from here might be able to sort of provide comment in terms of the amount of times that the referee let play run when our midfield. It was like, because honestly, it has a massive effect. I'm not sour grapes here. It was so obvious. If that was the English Premier League, for example, or anywhere else, you would see a lot more fouls blown. So it just looked like we were being overrun a lot more than we were. So we couldn't get any flow to our game. They were getting all the decisions.
The thing I noticed as well, watching it back, Ian, was the amount of times the ball would go out and we'd go to throw it in, and we'd take a step forward to throw it, and the ref would blow his whistle, go backwards. And he did the same with a couple of offsides and stuff where Sinisalo puts the ball down and he was like, no, move it back a metre, move it back 2 metres, whatever, right? But the amount of times that they got the ball, run 5 metres up the side, threw it in, and that sort of thing. It's little things like that add up. I just think it's Willie's mate, was it Ron Dobson, as he calls him? It's Willie's mate. He absolutely loves that guy. And it's just him, how inconsistent he is. Trains.
I reckon it was a bus.
Was it a bus or a train going past you?
So it was a bus, mate, sorry. How embarrassing. How demeaning.
I love the way you apologise for a bus driving past, as if it was in your control.
I'm sitting in the car like a fucking sad loser. I am a sad loser, but I don't want everyone to know about it.
This is the lengths we go to. This is the dedication, everybody. You've got to appreciate it.
I thought we were going to a bit of a throwback here, Shane. When Liam lived in his old place, he'd have the trains going past all the time. In the middle of the pod, it'd be like the whole time going past. You get 3 or 4 of them every pod. I thought we were getting a throwback to that. That's why I got excited.
Oh dear, that is a good throwback.
Yeah, good fun. So anyway, back to the game. Second half. What do you reckon, Shane? Go for it.
Kind of similar to the first half, really. We couldn't get a foothold in the game. There were moments where it evened out and went into a bit of a holding pattern, but overall they still had, obviously, the lion's share of, I guess, not so much the chances. They weren't creating an awful lot, but they had a lion's share of the ball, winning the ball. We were struggling to play out midfield. There's a little bit more poise in the midfield, particularly when Oxlade-Chamberlain came on. I thought he made a difference, and so did Bernardo in extra time. So that was able to just provide a little bit of resistance. Obviously, we made a few changes. Tanetki and Yang came off. both of them weren't really able to exert any influence on the contest. And Booker came on, and yep. Svanchado leading the line. To be fair, he didn't have a much better game either. It ended on an awesome note, but up until that point, he really struggled. But look, they had probably the best opportunity. A shout out to Giga from actually blocking their shot from going in. That was awesome. But yeah, look, it was sort of. It felt like at times we were hanging on, and then it felt like we were sort of starting to get a little bit of ascendancy, but it just didn't really push anything further. But we were just sort of set up to sort of absorb and try and hit them on the counter, similar to the first half. But again, we just couldn't win any second balls. As soon as we hoofed the ball forward, they'd win those second balls every single time, and it was just a bit sort of wave after wave after wave.
Yeah, 100%. It was like we're clearing it, yeah, as you're saying, Shane, but you'd want your midfield to come through somewhat. Like, this is the difference with Calmac. He would normally come through, win that second ball and clear it. And even when Bernardo came on, I thought he actually helped clear the ball a little bit later on in that sort of situation. But what was your thoughts on the second half, Ian?
Much the same, really. Like I say, my bugbear was the fact that we couldn't get any rhythm into our game because of the constant not getting decisions. And they do. Rangers were having in the last game and this game sort of the rough hand tactics. They were kind of they were getting a sort of roughers around them. We're not the most physical of teams. So yeah, and I think kind of the fact that we're not trying two up front and a different formation is working against us. I think the new strikers and whatever being isolated and one up front, and it's just it doesn't help us. So I think if we'd maybe sort of changed it in the second half, we might have had a bit more success. But those shots attempts at goal, 24 versus 1, and our 1 was off target. Rio had 6 on target, remember, and 3 of them from the penalty in the last game. So it's like 1 off target versus 24.
It's living dangerously, but as Gerald Ray's saying here, let's be honest, Celtic Park the bust, shock results happen. And then Plunger saying it was a marvellous win. Heavy Vibes are saying even in the 90s had McStay, Collins, etc. Talking about our midfield early on, about how weak we were. Michael Ross is saying it was no shock the Huns are shite too.
But it showed that we have the cojones and they don't. We defended for our lives. We basically, they made us look like Livingston at times. It's like we defended for our lives, and it looked like there was like a Champions League team playing against one of the minnows in their own league or whatever, or in a Champions League tie. They absolutely battered us. But I do, as I say, the context was that the referee was firmly on their side.
Well, when's the last time Celtic have ever had a game where they've managed to win, either on penalties or an extra time, where they've only had 1 shot for the whole game? And in this case, not even a shot on target. Like, it's the only time we would ever see this really is from a European. And, and this harks back to Lenny's famous win against Barcelona, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, 100%. I'm just looking at some of the comments here.
But it wasn't Barcelona, it was bloody a Phoenix Rangers who are 15 years old.
Plunger saying Tom English needs to be banned. TalkSport 2. Yeah, I just think overall, guys, it's one of those ones where we just didn't play well. But
yeah. Tom English just does what Hugh Keevins does. It's just good for business. It's good for his bank balance.
He just says whatever. And Michael Ross is saying Tom English has an agenda. Charlie McLaughlin saying Tom English is a disgrace. And Heavy Vibes, this is a good point. Yeah. 4 games in 10 days all away. Yeah, we've done well there. And then Plunger saying defensively we were colossal going forward. We were a disgrace. Yep. And the thing is, I just look at what we did, and our wingers did bugger all, our strikers did bugger all. But we, as you said there, Ian, we've got that institutional knowledge, that know-how, and how to win a tight game and how to actually push and get over the line. They don't. And I'm going to break this down how I see the two teams. They're taller than us, they're faster than us, they're more athletic than us, right? So they've got
Yeah.
the better athletes who are trying to play football. We've got the better footballers who are trying to be athletic. Guys like Nigrin,
Mhm.
not the fittest. Scales,
Yep.
you look at him getting out there. He doesn't look that fit at all, but look at him running up and down all game. We don't have guys who are natural athletes in general, but we do have a lot of guys who know how to play football. Even if we've got backs to the wall playing parking the bus. So yeah, I just thought, and as Bonnie's saying here, Martin gave them a bit of ticker.
Well, and that's what I was going to pick up on is that not only that is we've got a very intelligent, wily gentleman who's now managing us, who I have no doubt deserves. To be honest with you, it was an ugly game, and it's not anywhere near the kind of performance we want to see from a Celtic team. Let's be frank, but I think Martin set the team up as best as he could to try and nullify how they were going to come at us. And Scales at left back is a good example of that. But the way that they resolutely defended a team this year that's given away a lot of goals and conceded a lot of goals very cheaply was genuinely remarkable. And I think a lot of that comes from Martin. So as much as it was an ugly game and we'd never want to sit through a performance like that again, I think considering what unfolded the week before, considering the personnel out, Martin and the coaching staff did a really good job to drag this into 120 minutes and then into penalties.
Can I just say something here? And it's going to sound a little weird, right? But sometimes I think us as Celtic fans, we're so used to having it go our own way in terms of football and winning in style that when we actually have to go backs against the walls like this and grind out and win a game, it just seems weird to us, and it seems like a shit result, even though we got the win. And for me, coming out of this game here, I watched the game at the time. I watched it back before, and for me, looking at it, I'm like, I knowing the result the second time around was actually quite enjoyable just to see the amount of fight and the amount of effort that the boys are putting in. And when you're beating teams 3-0, 4-0, whatever, and you're constantly just running up a score and dominating possession and horseshoe a death Brendan style early in the season, it's good to see sometimes that your players do have that fight. They do have that ability to dig deep and grind out a result. Sometimes it's good to see that because us as Celtic fans, we're so used to having the run and play that we go into Europe sometimes and we get into this sort of arm wrestle. And do we have the runs on the board and have that? Do we feel comfortable knowing that, yeah, our team could actually grind out a result this way? Because we don't normally get to do it. So I'm looking at it from that perspective, like, this is the sort of result where even though the Huns are shit as well, and we're terrible at the same time with our squad and the way we're playing, the fact that we grind out this result, this is, in my opinion, this is actually a really good thing for the club. It's good for the players coming through because it shows that we can win ugly. We don't just win in style. If this was Brendan managing at the start of it, we would have horseshoed to death. It got pressed something chronic. Once we would have conceded 1, then 2, then 3, and our guys would have dropped their head. That's what it was like at the start of the season. If this was Nuncy, we would have got done 7 or 8-0 against that performance from them. So looking at it now, Martin has got this team set up, believing and showing dig and a bit of fight. And I actually enjoy it. I enjoy watching. Sometimes watching ugly, scrappy football like this is good.
Yeah, but the key thing is, this wasn't like a Neil Lennon backs against the wall against Barcelona to scrape a win against Barcelona. This was against Rangers. We are reminders, all of us, a 15-year-old Phoenix club who've been skint for most of it and traded in the red.
And that's on the board.
We've got nearly 100 million in the bank, and we're backs against the wall, like like when we played against, when we played against sort of the Barcelonas or the Real Madrids. That's what we've been reduced to because of this board. So I agree with you. I'm not trying to sound entitled, and winning ugly is fine. But I mean that the disparity, and for us to have to be this team, it's a joke, man. It's an absolute joke.
Let's be honest, Ian. We shouldn't have to win like this. We shouldn't have to with our resources. and everything. We shouldn't have to. We should have the setup behind the scenes, production line of players coming through the academy or identified with the recruitment structure, a forward-thinking management team and board, looking at different revenue streams for the club at the same time as growing, developing everything, right? We should have all that. We've said that. We don't, though, at the moment. And it's because of how many people are on the board? Is it 12 or is it 14 or something like that? It's because of those fuckers, not anyone else. But the guys on the pitch wearing the jersey got out there and had a crack yesterday. And they grounded out. And for me, I'll give credit where it's due. Yeah, we should be better. But hey, I'll still take the win.
Me too.
Me 3.
Robert Gibson, we always know you have some interesting comments here. So talking about how crap our team is, right? He's saying Wayne Biggins looks like Pele in comparison to what we have currently, and he couldn't score in a barrel load of fannies. There you go.
And bearing in mind, what do you think? What do you think? Right, if we do win the league and the cup, what do you think Nicholson and Mackay are going to spend their juicy bonus on?
Coke and hookers.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that, someone like Nicholson. There you go. Shane's lost it.
maybe a new train set and some M&S vouchers for his mum.
He'll go buy the complete set of Babar DVDs.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, jeez. That's a throwback.
The only reason I said it is because I found an old Babar played at my folks' house a couple of weeks back.
Wow, that is a massive throwback.
There you go. So Plunger's asking a question. Did anyone see any Celtic fans run from the Broomloan Road stand to the Copeland Road stand and throw flares and attack people? No, I didn't, mate. So
the thing is, as well, did you see any Kilmarnock fans attacking Celtic when they spelled on at the pitch the other week? This is one club's issue, and I'm not excusing our fans running up the pitch, but it was jubilation. It wasn't in a threatening manner. It was to celebrate with our players. It wasn't to try and antagonise the Rangers fans. At that moment, it was euphoric, which gave them a chance to just attack like they did against Hibs. But the narrative is like, they try. It's a false equivalence.
This was all pre-planned by them. Let's be honest. The Union Bears had this because of what happened last weekend, and we spoke about it on the pod a few weeks back, Shane. We said, imagine we go to Ibrox and we win both of them, and their season implodes. Well, we drew one and we've knocked them out of the cup. They're not going to win a trophy this season now, right? They're completely cooked. So let's be honest. They've imploded. And this was always going to happen. And I've got some videos that have been sent to me, and it's people in the crowd. There's a couple of people recording, and they're going, as soon as their fans start charging down at us, it's like, get them, and they're trying to jump the stage, and they're showing the footage of the broken chairs, right? Why were the chairs broken? So our fans could swing them to protect themselves because they were right with the barricade. The cops weren't doing anything to protect themselves. So they broke a chair so they had something to protect themselves from getting absolutely belted by about 20 different people. So you're talking about, the Celtic fans started it because they went on the pitch first. Yeah, we went to celebrate. They came on with bad intentions, just like they did when Hibs won the cup at Hampton, and then their fans came on the pitch all those years ago and started trouble. I've also had footage sent to me of the guy on the Celtic CSC bus post-game, and they swarm the bus, bring the guy off and belt the shit out of him, and then stomp his head off the ground and bounce it a few times on the ground with a few different people stomping him. Now, we don't know if that guy, I've heard all sorts of things. I've heard he's dead. I've heard he's in intensive care. He's had a CT scan. He's in a coma. I've heard all sorts of stuff, right? So whoever you are, better soon. Thoughts and prayers. No one should go to a football game and have that happen to them, right? But these fuckwits have gone into the game ready to cause trouble. And this is the sort of thing is why they always stash weapons and stuff in their stadium. This has long been old knowledge. They've been waiting for a moment. And this is the first time we get 7,500 seats back at Broomloan. We get to have our party in that stand again. And these fuckers are out there trying to ruin football for everyone. It's disgusting. But they're going to say it's the old firm fans, or it's Celtic and Rangers are cut from the same cloth. Our fans went on the pitch to celebrate with our players. Their fans came on to start a fight and protect their turf. There's a massive difference there.
You've pretty much summed up everything I was going to say, to be honest with you, mate. I'm not too sure how much more I can add to it. It's frustrating, and that was the key point that I picked up on, is that a lot of the reporting I'm reading about it is exactly that. It's about shared blame. It's about, well, both clubs need to sort this out, or, even on the odd occasion, oh, this is all the fault of the Celtic fans because they supposedly came on the pitch first. If you want to argue semantics, I mean, their disallowed goal, their fans jump onto the pitch. Nobody's talking about that, really. But I mean, if you look at it, Ian touched on this really well. I know getting onto the pitch isn't everyone's cup of tea, but let's look at the facts here for a second. And you can say that I've got green and white glasses on, go for it. I don't mind. But the fact is that we've just gone and won a penalty shootout at Ibrox in a game where we had no shots on target and had to defend resolutely for 120 minutes against a constant wave after wave of attacks. We've got a full Broomloan stand end again. This is a monumental result in, let's be honest with you, the fact that we've been able to win that in that manner, that there's a natural jubilation and want to celebrate. And unfortunately, that's resulted in people heading onto the pitch. But as you've always said, we're seeing people head onto the pitch to come and celebrate with their heroes, those who've just put in 120 minutes of absolute grit to get that result. They're there to celebrate a wonderful result. I'm seeing them come on and embrace their Celtic heroes. And then I'm seeing other people run from the absolute opposite end of the stadium with the intentions of confronting those who've come on to celebrate. I don't think I need to sum it up any further. We know who should take the lion's share of blame for this and who should be under the most pressure for their fans' behaviour. And it's not the Celtic fans.
Yep, 100%. I'm just trying to see if I can find it, but I saw another post as well saying that Celtic fans come on the pitch just for a cuddle, basically. Everything's Celtic. Here we go. Isn't the tweet I was looking for, but it's something similar. Celtic supporters jump on the pitch celebrating a dramatic win. Rangers do it. Plenty do it. It's not allowed, but it happens. What I haven't seen before is supporters invade the pitch, run 100+ meters with the purpose of attacking fans regardless of age. It's Celtic's fault, but like our guys just wanted to get over there and cuddle, give our players a cuddle, give them a high five. Well done, congratulations. That's pretty much it. Like get a photo. Like you have a look at it. Ken Chavara's there, people taking selfies with him, and he's actually stopping and grinning and having a smile and all sorts of stuff, right? And then all of a sudden you see him spin around because everyone talks about the fans at the other end, the Union Bears jumping, dressing like they got blue condoms over their head and running the length of the field, right? To go up there and do whatever. But they're forgetting is the guy who jumped from the side and went over and attacked a member of our coaching staff. He got arrested. That's not really been spoken about, is it? So one of our coaching staff got physically assaulted in the stadium. The person got arrested, but that's Celtic's fault too? Make it make sense. So, yeah, just the penalty shootout. How great was it to see a Tav pen fail? It was the best. Sinisalo picked the right way on every single shot. And, yeah, our guys stepping up. Calm, ice through their veins, perfect. It was like, can't really complain with that. I thought our guys did really well. Considering Butland's saved, 8 out of 9 penalties so far this season, and he doesn't get even close to any of our 4. Brilliant.
They were good pens. Good pens. Every single one of them. Solidly hit, gave Butland no chance.
So player focus. We'll just pick 2 players each we want to talk about. I've already waxed lyrical about Sinisalo early on. That was one of my ones. I thought he was great. So I'll let you boys talk about some players and then finish off. So Shane, who was your man of the match and which players you want to focus on?
Austin Trusty was man of the match for me. Sinisalo, special mention in that category as well. But Austin Trusty was just excellent. He was physical. He was winning everything in the air. He was throwing himself at everything. It was the exact kind of performance we needed from a centre-half, particularly one that was being partnered by a more inexperienced junior centre-half next to him. And he did an excellent job. And obviously, we're talking about the penalties. how good was his penalty? Tucked that away. Last time I've seen a centre half hit a penalty that good. Jeez, I can't even remember. So I thought he was absolutely outstanding. I want to give Dane Murray a bit of a shout out as well. The two I want to talk about were Murray and Scales. Dane Murray comes on. He's obviously at fault for their second goal last week. He has to come on and replace Arthur, who wasn't great. Had started to find his feet a little bit, but wasn't great. And he comes and Murray acquits himself really well. And he's no doubt going to have the mental demons of what happened last week. But he was exceptional when he came on and helped partner trust in, helped shore up a defense that needed to stay strong for effectively another 50 minutes. And shout out to him for being able to atone for his mistake so quickly again. I think that shows great character.
What do you think, Ian?
You stole my thunder there, Shane. I can't. I mean, how can I give it to anyone else other than a defender or a goalkeeper? Because that's pretty much most of our players were. The heat map. It was all around our defence, and so I'd like to reiterate. Obviously, Trusty was brilliant, and Sinisalo, but Dane Murray, and good on him as well for after that sort of air swipe last week. I think he had a really brilliant second half. I said this on Axum. I think we could potentially have another KT in our hands. He's got a really high ceiling. And he looks really commanding in the air, which is not something we've seen from our defenders for a while. Maybe Starfelt was probably the last one that was really commanding in the air. So he looks really accomplished for one so young. Got some really tough telling blocks in as well. So yeah, I can't really go beyond that really. No one else really sort of particularly impressed. Out with those guys.
So Dane Murray, to me, is the player Jack Hendry should have been when we signed him. Can play with the ball at the ground, has the build, he's 6'3", 6'4", whatever. Good, and Murray's good with his head clearing the ball as well. Good. It's good to see a young player come through the academy. We spoke about our defence. I said how well I thought Scales did playing out of position. Arahau as well. Give him some credit there, just being up and down all day, and then still step up. He took a pen, didn't he?
He didn't.
No,
but,
I think he was on the list.
Just shout out to our mad Mexican. I love him. I love the shithousery. I'm here for it.
I love the when he's coming out the tunnel later on. Someone spat at him, and he's just like giving them shit. And it's great. So yeah, overall, our defense is where it's at. So yeah, I think the easiest thing now is I'll just get some comments up, a couple of comments, and then we'll just move it along a bit. So what we got here? Vinny saying, Mavuka, who the fuck is that guy?
Oh.
Michael Ross. One for you, Shane.
But I look cool this way, so I'm going to stick with it this way.
No worries. We got Simon from Denny saying was buzzing for Scaldini. Yep. Yeah, so just going through here, there was a comment earlier on. I'm just trying to find it. I can't remember who said it. I don't want to waste too much time looking for it, but someone said we've got to find a way to get out of Scottish football. And yeah, I kind of agree. I think at the end of the day, if we could play in Germany or something like that, it'd be perfect. I don't want to go to England, but Robert Gibson. Yeah, now
I think with the more and more American ownership of clubs, I think that's going to eat towards certainly a British league. I think it's inevitable, but then obviously there'll be rules changes and stuff like that as well. So careful, I suppose, what people wish for, but yeah, I mean, there's no way we'll get to the Bundesliga or anywhere else. I think the biggest hope we've got is obviously England, or having that amalgamation of all the British leagues, because we're part of the same landmass. Unless some TV company puts the money in, they see the model in England and say, right, let's pump lots of money into Scottish football. Because if we go down to England, we've got to compete with all those other teams to try and get in Europe. We could be out of Europe for 20 years if we did that, as we assimilate. So if the huge investment came into Scottish football, it would be a saleable package all around the world, a la the Premier League, and would attract a lot better players. You know, it could be like a soulful version of the Premier League.
Michael Ross is saying, imagine the violence if Celtic played in England. I don't know about that, but yeah,
we've got loads of brethren in England as well. You know, Rangers have, and so have we.
Be an interesting one to see if that ever happened, but yeah, I'm not that keen on it. So
can I just ask the question? Maybe we should ask in the comments teams that we know that are pro Celtic in English football.
I've got 4 that I know of.
Yeah, go on, Liverpool. You see, or
Liverpool and Everton, both those two are lean more our way than anything because the Scousers love us.
Yeah, agree.
I know a few guys.
I was going to say Man United.
Man United's one, and then if you go down to London, who do you think down there leans more our way?
Definitely not Millwall.
It's West Ham.
Really?
Because Millwall's close with Rangers, and those two hate each other, so they lean more our way out of anything. Just by a friend of our friend, the enemy of our enemy is our friend, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, my late father-in-law was a big West Ham fan, and I managed to stop his daughter from supporting Rangers when she moved to Glasgow before she met me. She was going to buy him some socks to wear in the garden, like for gardening, some football socks, and she was like, "Shall I get Rangers socks or Celtic socks?" He said, "Oh, don't get her involved with that." She says, "Well, I'm going to get you some. What shall I get?" And he says, "Well, I suppose Rangers because you're Protestant." So she was going, and then she met me, and then we were having a drink, and I says, "No, Frank McAvenny socks because he's West Ham and Celtic." So, yeah.
So Paul Boy's saying Liverpool, Man United, Everton, and then he's followed it up with also Arsenal. And then Bonnie's saying, don't bag the Millwall. Hey, I've got a mate who's a Millwall fan, and they actually do like us. Some of them do. Some of them hate us.
Just saying that it wasn't probably Millwall that Jared was thinking. Saying nothing else. They're on the verge of coming up. Actually, Alex Neil's got them sitting third.
They've got there's a massive Irish contingent that support Millwall.
Yeah, they're not that bad with us like now, but yeah, I'm just in the past with their firms and the punch-ons and all that sort of stuff. They always lent more the way of Ibrox above all else from the history that I know of from a mate of mine.
I thought that was the same as West Ham as well. Their firm were part of that National Fronty type.
It's an interesting mix. Like I remember a Villa, talking to a Villa fan one day when I was out at a concert, and he was Villa and Celtic was basically who he sort of followed outside of Villa, and he said, look, a lot of villains follow Rangers, but there's a strong, not insignificant portion that follows Celtic as well. So it kind of does vary. I think obviously a lot of that Irish diaspora connection does help as well, right?
I got an interesting one, Ian. I got to ask you something because you've lived up in that area. Northeast of England.
Yeah.
Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Newcastle. Who's aligned how?
Who's aligned with Celtic?
Yeah, if any of them.
So my leanings are Sunderland because my step family are all Sunderland fans. So I used to go and watch Sunderland a lot. I went to the even though I'm a Liverpool supporter, I went to see Sunderland play Liverpool in the '92 FA Cup final, and I went to most of the games in the cup run. And used to remember the half and half bobble hats you used to get, and it was always like the Sunderland or Newcastle or whatever, or Chelsea, and it would have either Rangers or Celtic on the other half. Sunderland was probably half and half Rangers and half Celtic, and they used to have a chant going Celtic Rangers, Celtic Rangers, and I believe Newcastle did as well. Middlesbrough are just like they're just shitty little. They don't have a rival. Like Newcastle and Sunderland hate each other. Like it's nearly as bad as Celtic and Rangers. I didn't realize how bad it was, but they actually hate each other really badly. But there's no religion involved. And Middlesbrough are kind of like Scrappy Doo, going like, pick us as well, fight us. And Sunderland and Newcastle don't really give a shit about them.
I'll tell you what I've heard about that from a guy who's a Newcastle fan. He said us and Sunderland is like, if we see each other, it's on sight. They want to throw hands. They want to punch on, right? They don't like each other. Middlesbrough think that they are in the mix, but those guys are the heavyweights, and they're like some little super lightweight boxer over there who you just breathe in their direction, they'll fall over. He said they're
Yeah.
like the shit on the bottom of their shoes.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, well, that'd be interesting to see what happens if that was to go there. England's full of plastic patties, loads of Celtic fans, and John Hare.
I was at Tony Mowbray's testimonial against Middlesbrough, and the wankers charged us and started trying to fight. So I never liked Middlesbrough since then.
Fair enough. Giacomola, how's the war impacting Down Under? Yeah, we're miles out of it. Let's keep the politics off the pod. But yeah, petrol prices are ridiculous as usual. That's also. So my next question, talking about Mavuka a bit earlier. Is he the worst player you've seen at Celtic in your lifetime? I think he's putrid. From what I've seen, I can't believe he was the one guy that we brought in on loan in January that we're actually willing to spend money on. Disgusting player. Like, I think he made.
Let's say that.
But the worst thing though is the fact that he's on the bench in this derby game and Balikwish is not even in the squad. Wow. How much money? Go on.
And how much wages we paying them? Balikwish and him, and how much we pay, and we wouldn't go and sign Massimiliano, who's top scorer in the league.
Yeah, no, figure it out, huh?
I still have Balikwisha as worst, but he's very close. Like, he's almost Balikwisha 2.0, to be honest with you. I was just so I don't know what it is about this club and signing wingers that can't actually beat a man. And we saw it yesterday. He comes on. It's like it's sinking this injection of pace. It's at a time where everyone else is tiring. It's been a really taxing game. We're going to need a winger who can run rings around a back four that's that they've been on for effectively 80 minutes, and he couldn't beat a man. He just couldn't. And he, as soon as he got on the ball, he would give it away. It was genuinely like we were playing with a man down at that point. And I know that sounds really harsh, but I've been thoroughly unimpressed as I was with Balikwisha.
It's like modern football hipsters, It's like, what, you've got a striker that scores goals. Oh, we prefer our strikers not to score goals. You've got a winger who can beat a man. Hey, man, like, we don't like wingers who can. That's just so obvious, man.
It's a really different take on it, and I like it.
But that's kind of what they like, though, you know what I mean? It's like fucking modern wingers and modern strikers don't score goals. One up front, score about 5 goals a season, and wingers that just fucking go so far and then pass back again. That's a modern winger and that's a modern striker.
I don't know, Ian. I don't think he can pass back either. I haven't seen much quality at all from Mvuka.
But do you remember that? Do you remember that guy that pulled the wool over Sinis's eyes? Ali Dyer.
Yeah.
And it's like he was fucking better than Balikwisha and Mvuka.
So we've got some comments here, like a few people here. We've got Mazzano saying Mavuka is the worst player since Abui Kawasi, who I'm still convinced wasn't a footballer. Paul Boy is saying don't mention Bollock Washer, bad nightmare. Heavy vibes. He's one of the worst he's one of the worst for sure. Boringer and Rafai Shites, some heavy vibes. Yeah, those two are up there as well. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So Michael Ross is saying I've been where is it here? I've been saying for years we need a goal scoring keeper.
I mean, if we're talking about players in the worst category, and now keepers come up, well, old Cabbage Hands has to get a special mention.
Yeah, Barkers. Jeez. Anyway, changing topics now, so we don't bang on for that too long. Saw a couple of weeks earlier in the week. Let's grab the tweet and bring it up on the screen here. So, oh, come on, bloody work. There you go. There's rumours that La Liga are preparing a retro match day, which all clubs will wear in pre-2000s retro shirts. The setup will be completely vintage balls, scoreboards, broadcast everything. Then, off the back of that, it was confirmed it's going to be this, where all 38 clubs will be wear kits inspired by iconic designs from the history between April 10 and April 13. Can't wait for this. So we're talking about this. I shared it in our group chat, and we're talking about. We know there's a few people here who love We love the old retro kits. So we thought, what are some of our older kits that we would love as possible options? So Dan went on a bit of a tangent with some Photoshop. I think it was him. I can't remember who else there was. So we've got the Bricky rocking this top. That could be a great option for us. We've got the one Jamesy's got on, the old yellow.
That's my
Canary.
favourite.
I love this one here, Calmac rocking the old People's top. I don't think this one is retro enough yet. That or the old tartan one. I do love that top though.
It's definitely not pre-2000s, that's for sure.
Yeah, no. So we got this old CR7 one, CR Smith one here as well. Old KT rocking the old Umbro one there.
Jeez, I
this
like
one's-
that.
This has got to be up there as well. Look at that. Bring back those putrid tops. So I was just thinking,
Banned alphabet though.
yeah. So I was just thinking, and what I'd love to get your thoughts are, let us know in the comments what season top, if we were to do retro round in Scotland, what tops would you love to see Celtic wear? And what tops would you love to see our opponents and other clubs wear? Like, I can guarantee the Huns would want to wear that blue Umbro McEwen's lager or whatever it is top, because that's pretty much all their fans still rock that now. But let us know what tops you'd love to see us wear. Plunger's already coming through here with lime green Love Street 86 top. And Bonnie is saying the Centenary top.
Yeah, well said.
That Adidas tribute to the Lions one that was just no logos on it and it was just the hoops. That would be perfect. So I'd love to see something like that come through in Scotland. For a bit of a laugh, we're bringing back our Would You Rather because of how lightweight our midfield was yesterday in the game. So, Ian, I don't think you've done a Would You Rather with us on this pod before. So how it plays is I pick a player in our current squad. In the past, we've done it for former players, but I'm doing it with our current squad. I'm picking Paolo Bernardo because he's not playing a lot regularly and he's in a position of need, defensive midfield. So what I'm going to do is I've got a list of about 15, 16 former players at Celtic from within the last 30 years. Now I say, would you rather Paolo Bernardo or, and I'll name the player, and then you and Shane are to say yes or no, and I'm going to keep a running tally and we'll see how we go.
Okay.
All right. So, and the comments get involved as well, right? So, would you rather Paolo Bernardo or Victor Wanyama?
Wanyama.
Bernardo or Paul Lambert?
Paul Lambert.
Paul Lambert.
Bernardo or Ki Sung Young?
Key.
Yeah, we'll go Key.
This is the first one I think we could have a no on. Paolo Bernardo or Oliver Abelgard?
Bernardo.
Yeah, Bernardo for me, yeah.
Bernardo or Massimo Donati?
Donati.
Donati.
Bernardo or Yusuf Malumbu?
Malumbu was a good player, just not when he was with us.
Bernardo, if we're talking about the Malumbu that's with us, has to be Bernardo.
Yeah, that's the way we've got to judge it. So with us, so it's Malumbu. Here we go. So we've got some Bernardos, Donatis. All right. Bernardo or Thomas Gravison?
Tommy Gravison, come on, all day long.
Yeah. I've got a soft spot for Tommy.
I love Tommy Gravison, but if we're talking about the version who was at Celtic, I would take Bernardo.
He was actually wasn't that bad. It was just his discipline. He just he did strike his head in, but that was his game. He just one of these players. Just have to go and let him play.
Yep. Bernardo or Tomoki Iwata?
At the moment, I'd say Iwata.
This one's tough because, again, we've got to judge it on what we saw. And I've probably seen, or this might go down a little bit differently, but I've probably seen a bit more from Bernardo at Celtic than Iwata. So I'd go Bernardo out of those two.
Since your name got mentioned earlier on, Paolo Bernardo or Abui Kawasi?
Paolo.
Bernardo, thanks.
We've got one here: Mavuko or a training cone.
I'll take the cone, thanks.
Yeah.
Next one is Bernardo or Ismailia Soro.
Bernardo.
Bernardo for me.
Bernardo or Evander Snow.
Bernardo.
Bernardo.
Bernardo or Liam Shaw.
Bernardo.
Bernardo or Luca Connell.
Bernardo.
Bernardo.
Bernardo or Scott Robertson.
Bernardo.
Bernardo. You could make a remix of all the times we're saying Bernardo.
Bernardo or Bruni.
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 And the reason Bernardo can't get a game, Bernardo or Callum McGregor.
Calmac.
So we already got a underwater cabbage salesman is saying snow every day. So there you go. So basically, I learned recently that on what's it called? On Transfermarkt, you can actually search per position, and I'm like, oh, this could actually make it easier for me. So I thought I'd bring that one back. So we got Motherwell on Sunday morning for us. I think it's 2 a.m. for us. It'll be 4 a.m. for UAN in New Zealand. What are your thoughts heading into the game, Ian?
I can see us dropping points. I don't think we're going to be flawless for the rest of the season. Depends what players we have back. But please, Martin, I know you tune in religiously to Celtic Down Under, so heed my words. My father from another somewhere else. Anyway, Martin, Mr. O'Neill, St. Martin, please change the formation and try two strikers up front, and we'll romp the league.
Shane, what are your thoughts heading into the game?
Look, I keep thinking, and I've said this a number of times over the pod the last few weeks, I keep thinking we've turned a corner. The result itself overnight feels like we've turned a corner. The performance most certainly didn't. But they dropped points away to Dundee. So all of a sudden, they're, I think, about 5 points behind us now. So there's a little bit of breathing room there. We were a little bit worried about them coming up and potentially snatching third from us. It'll be nice to actually play at home again for the first time in what, 4 games, 10 days or whatever it is. Like that's actually big, to be honest with you. I don't know the extent of KT's injury or Calmac, but hopefully we can get them back in. Look, I'm feeling somewhat confident that there's just something about the result yesterday, not so much the performance, the result that makes me think that we can push on from here.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is a launching point for us. I know it's going to be tough because Motherwell are one of the best drilled teams, and we've had problems with them this season. Normally, when you go play at Parkhead and you got the big wide open space there, you think it would suit us, but I actually reckon that may suit them a bit more. So it's going to be a bit of a hard one for us to keep everything under control. But yeah, I think it's a game that we can get the job done. We'll pick up the 3 points, but I'm thinking it's going to be like a 2-1 or a 3-2. It's going to be both teams are going to score. It's going to be one we have to outscore them to win in terms, obviously, but I think they're going to score.
Are we going to launch some more strikers in?
Yeah, totally.
Because we haven't got any strikers that can score goals.
We'll just have to
Benji Negren hat-trick.
I was going to say put Casper up front as a striker. There you go. That means he doesn't have to worry about his shoulder.
I was going to say before, right, and I've got to say it. You know, Negren, right, is he's clearly got talent and he's scoring goals. But I don't know if you guys had it the same in your school, but there was always that kid when you played PE and you played football or sport in PE, and they didn't give a shit about sports, so they used to go and smoke a fag when the teacher wasn't around. That's Negren.
Yeah, pretty much. I know what you mean. It's that one guy who's got so much natural talent, but they don't give a shit about it.
Just can't be arsed. Just goes, smokes a fag and talks to the girls, and you're all playing football. You know, like kind of.
Sounds about right. So, yeah, what are you thinking, Shane? Score prediction?
I think. Yeah, no, it's been a good pod. It's been good fun. I've made it. I'm still awake. That's the most important thing. Look, I'm thinking 3-1. I think we can get the job done. I reckon Svanstrada gets the goal. Definitely not Mvuka. Probably Negrin. Negrin will score a brace, and Mahuanisi will score for them. He's arguably player of the season. He's definitely in the top 4 player of the season for the Premiership. So yeah, he'll probably score.
Fair enough. When we're doing Would You Rather, some other random ones came through just to give you a laugh, Shane. So Plunge is asking Big Bird or Emu?
Emu.
Big bird.
Emu. It's on our coat of arms.
Michael Ross, Sooty or Sweep?
Jeez, they got a bit out of hand, didn't they?
No, but I think he meant Emu, that Rod Hall's Emu, the puppet, not an actual emu.
Oh, okay. Oh, hey man, 2 hours sleep. It's too quick for me. Look, I'm probably Big Bird, to be honest with you. That's my childhood right there.
Did you ever see that? Billy Connolly was Rod Hull and Emu were on a talk show and Billy Connolly, and he used to attack people. It was obvious, and he says if that bird attacks me, he says I'll break its neck and your fucking arm.
Brilliant. So there we go. So what I want to do, finish off, I had a bunch of random memes and stuff left up, which we never did. But before we do so, you are now entering a free Broomloan. I don't really like the 66 stuff written there, but the rest of it, fine. Look who was in the crowd. AJ, Ralston, Carter Vickers. I think Engels was in there as well. But here you go. They're crying for justice, the Union Bears. Scotland Shane coming to cinemas soon. With the creators of the investigation Onion Bears, they've got Tears of Rage. Egypt's by Day, Egypt's by Night. Onion Bears Assemble. Sevco Production. There's those blue condom hats I was talking about. Paddy Power. It's pretty good with this one here if it comes up. Don't know why it's not showing. There we go. New Marvel movie looks shite. I love this one here. So Football Club, simply the best. Castro Saldigarraho moved into Brunaldo's old gaff, rent-free in the heads of the Huns. Celts 1986 was ended up with 3,500 people on the pitch, and Mavuka was still the worst footballer on the pitch.
Oh, jeez.
And this was my favourite one. Dear Iran, this is where the UK keeps the nuclear weapons. Ibrox Stadium. There you go. So, thanks to everyone for tuning in. Appreciate it. Thanks, Ian and Shane, for jumping on as well. Good pod. Had a great fun doing that. Final thoughts to finish off. Over to you, Shane.
Up the Phoenix. Basketball related. Southeast Melbourne starting their semi-final series against Adelaide tomorrow night. If they get through, it'll be the first time they've made a grand final series. So up the Phoenix.
Ian?
A shameless shout out to my long-suffering wife. Happy anniversary, 17 years of marriage. I've managed to turn love into hate through my face and actions. So thanks for having us for 17 years. And I even managed to fuck that up. It was on Saturday, but I thought it was today. So sorry.
My final thoughts, because you got Shane, you mentioned about, Big Bird being your childhood. The person who voiced Australian cartoon royalty Agro passed away recently, so what a legend. That was a great show growing up, so condolences. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.